Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 26 My Team Career Mode. Today we're here for the second round of our first season for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Now, if you didn't see the last episode, I do recommend you go check that one out because, of course, it was our first ever episode as a team where I kind of went through the premise of the series, how I've got Petronas Yamaha biker racing alongside Jake Dixon. So do go and watch that one because it was a pretty good first episode and it was really well received in the comments. So I really do appreciate it, guys. I'm glad that you did all enjoy it. But without any further ado, let's get straight into the race weekend. So for this weekend, practice was much tougher because not only did we not have the preseason test going into this, it also was a completely brand new circuit to the MotoGP calendar. Of course, Goiânia, I think it was in the 80s maybe, but obviously has never been in a modern MotoGP game. So it did take me quite a bit of time to kind of get to grips with it. I was making quite a few mistakes. It did take me a good bit of time, especially the kind of chicane towards the end of the lap, to actually get a good groove into that. But you can see a good 15-20 minutes into the session, I finally had a good groove. We had a good tow here from Marc Marquez, and we were able to put down a pretty good benchmark then, a 116.6. At the end of the session, that was good enough for third position. So once again, a really good start to the weekend. As we topped practice in Chang, not quite as good as that, but once again, it does mean that we've got straight through into Q2. This time, we're not the only Yamaha though. Fabio Quartararo has gone through in 9th position, but it feels good to be the first rider behind the two Marquez brothers, which of course dominated the season last year. So with practice out the way, it is time to head into qualifying. And joining us 10 that got straight through is Brad Binder and Fermin Aldeguer, who have managed to get their ways through Q1. But as you can see here, once again, we've got some mixed weather conditions. So practice was dry, but qualifying here was very wet. So all that practice I did to get up to speed with the track kind of went out the window in this session. Now, of course, we were pretty competitive in the wet last time, if you take away the sprint race where, of course, we had sort of the electronical issue. So I was hoping that would kind of translate forward. You can see our very first lap there at 26.5, so about 10 seconds then off what we're doing in the dry, which you would expect in the wet conditions. You can see it is properly raining here. And towards the end of the session, you can see we were currently 12th place, 1 second off, but we are improving by quite a bit, half a second as we come up towards the line at the end of this session. And that was good enough to put us in 10th position. So unlike in Thailand, we obviously got through to Q2 there, weren't able to out-qualify anyone. We started down in 12th position. This time we actually have got ahead of a couple of people, Fermin Aldeguer and João Mir. But Fabio Di Gianantonio takes pole position here for the second round of the season. Much more like it compared to last time. Same with Alex Marquez actually in second position there. Both of those guys were mired down towards the back, battling with me in the last round. So really good to see both those guys back towards the sharp end. The two Aprilia boys in third and fourth, and Marc Marquez rounds out that top 5. But honestly, I'm really happy with that. A top 10 in qualifying, only less than half a tenth of Fabio Quartararo on the Yamaha. We really are starting off this season about as well as I could expect. And hopefully we can try and carry that forward into the sprint. Speaking of the sprint, here we are then down on the grid, and once again it is wet conditions. So I don't know what it is about this career mode so far, but it is mostly wet. Obviously we pretty much only had, I think, half a session in Chang in the dry, and then just that free practice in the dry. I guess we had some of the Chang race in the dry before the flag to flag, but we have had rain in pretty much every session we have done so far. And like I was saying in qualifying, it does seem like we're quite competitive in that 10th place on the grid. So this time we've kind of backed up our practice performance a little bit in qualifying, not quite to the same degree, but if we can be fighting for the top 10, we're just about on the cusp of scoring points in the sprint. So that's got to be the target. If we could try and maybe move forward just a couple of positions and score a couple of points in this sprint race. But here we go now then on the grid. Di Gianantonio, of course, on that pole position. Alex Marquez alongside him. Jorge Martin as well. So this could be a very feisty one with those guys all towards the front. And don't count out Marc Marquez as well on that second row of the grid. But here we are then. The lights are on, waiting for them to go here for this sprint here at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Lights out, and away we go. We've had a pretty good initial jump off the line. In fact, we've had a very good initial jump off the line. We're going past loads of people. We've gone past Bagnaia there. We've gone past Marquez. We've gone past Bezzecchi. We've gone past Martin. We've gone past the other Marquez. We've gone past Di Gianantonio. We take the lead going into turn 1. How have we done that compared to the start we got in Thailand? We've gone completely forward here. We've gone from 10th place all the way up into first. Di Gianantonio bashes us back out the way, though. He does not want to lose that lead, that hard pole position that he fought for that first position. So at the moment, we're in second place. But again, absolutely exceeded my expectations. I was hoping to maybe battle for a couple of points, but we've led into turn 1. Of course, Digi has fought his way back through, and I'm sure we are going to go a little bit further back as Alex Marquez looks a little bit up the inside there, not able to do anything so far. But honestly, I have no idea where that start came from. I wouldn't have expected anything like that in my wildest dreams from 10th place on the grid there. And here comes Alex Marquez now, though. He's going to try and demote us into 3rd position, up the inside, into the chicane. This is a part of the track where I've been struggling all weekend long, and Alex takes advantage of that to take that 2nd position away from us. And I do have a feeling this could be a bit of a trend because, of course, we haven't qualified this position. We don't have the actual pace. We make a small mistake through the chicane that I was speaking of, and Martin's got the run on us now down towards the final corner. Martin on the brakes, up the inside. So already we've gone from 1st to 4th in just a matter of a couple of sectors. But once again, though, still, we are in a properly good position here. If we could try and hang on to some of these places, we could score some points. Bezecchi, though, on the exit of the last corner, gets the drive, pulls alongside us, and he is, of course, pulling ahead because we are lacking that power on this Yamaha. And here comes Pedro Acosta as well. So 2 of them go past us into turn 1, but on the brakes, really, really deep in. We go back past the pair of them on the outside. We almost have a look at Jorge Martin for that 3rd position, but just slotting in back behind him. But what a first lap that's been, leading briefly, getting overtaken by a few riders, and then going round the outside of a few into turn 1. Once again, like I was saying in the last episode, the brakes do seem to be our strength. It's the one place where we are making up a good amount of lap time. Cutting a little bit later on into the lap, and you can see Martin has pulled away from us a little bit more, and Pedro Acosta gets the drive down, blast past us on that KTM. Kind of a similar manner there to Alex Marquez getting the power down. Here comes Bezecchi trying to go around the outside of us as well. Is Bezecchi going to be able to do it? He does indeed. Bezecchi up into that 5th place, and now Marc Marquez comes through, so we are absolutely going backwards again. It's through this kind of little short section of the track. We really are quite weak. Ralph Fernandez now getting the power down. Jean Mir as well. So a couple of riders come into play in this last sector. Up the inside goes Mir. We try and hang it around the outside into this last corner. We just hang on to 7th position for now as we try and get the power down again. Of course, we lost a couple of positions on the straight here on the last lap, so are we going to be able to hang on to them? It does seem like on the exit of the corner that we have been able to do so. Cutting a little bit further back, though, now to Jake Dixon. A bit of Jake Dixon, watch what he's up to. He is just fighting towards the back. Ahead of Alex Rins, though. Ahead of him on the factory Yamaha, so really, really good. And Luca Marini, who actually almost won the sprint race in the last episode. Obviously just missing out there, but really does not seem to be on the same kind of pace this weekend, even in the same conditions. Cutting a little bit further on now, though, we've got Jean Mir all over the back of us, so we just managed to hold him off through the last sector on the previous lap, but of course, this is where Pedro Acosta was able to get the power down and fly past us. And it looks like Jean Mir is going to do a similar thing, getting that power down through that little bit of a right-hander into the chicane. He's going to hang it around the outside like Bezecchi did to us on the previous lap. We're going to still try to stick up the inside. Not quite able to do so, though. Mir moves up into 7th place. And here comes Ralph Fernandez. Absolutely no prisoners. We know how aggressive Fernandez can be. Straight on the power, getting past us, and we have got an absolute train of riders behind us. We've got the 2VR46 Academy riders of Pecco Bagnaia and Morbidelli, but up the inside we go of Ralph Fernandez, clipping the curb. We've gone pretty wide there. I think we've dragged Raul with us a little bit. Morbidelli comes sneaking through, and I think so does Pecco Bagnaia. He does there, so we're down into 11th place, so we're actually below our starting position, and Top Rack all of a sudden is now getting involved. He's getting a bit of slipstream there from Ralph Fernandez, comes flying past us as we approach turn 1, but once again on the brakes, deep round the outside of all 4 of them. No way are we going to pull that down into turn 1. We have gone pretty wide, almost to the white line actually there on the outside, so I'm not surprised. We have managed to get back past Top Rack, so that puts us back up into 10th position, just behind the 2 Ducatis. Cutting a few laps later now, though, on lap 5, we've got Fabio Di Gianantonio still leading the race. So obviously, aside from losing the lead briefly to meet at turn 1, he has had this one under control. We've got Alex Marquez a little bit behind him again. Alex Marquez, a very skilled wet weather rider, but at the moment Digi is just controlling this race and dosing out his pace a little bit, it seems. Cutting back to us, though, as we're about to start the penultimate lap of the race. We're still holding firm in 10th place, been gapped a little bit by Franco Morbidelli in front, and there goes Toprak Razgatlioglu blasting past us, but once again around the outside we're actually outbraking Toprak, which I guess is another thing to kind of highlight. We know Toprak is a demon on the brakes, struggling a little bit more with it in MotoGP, but even still, to have that kind of advantage over him really does show that we're doing something right, and it's probably where our lap time's coming from, probably why we're so good over the one lap maybe compared to the race, especially in practice anyway. We're risking a bit more on the brakes, and perhaps be able to get ourselves directly through into qualifying 2 off the back of that. But just holding on in front of Toprak, although he comes back around the outside of us now. A beautiful move actually there from Toprak, but another beautiful move from us as well as we get the switchback. Toprak kind of went around the outside, a really good move from him, but it just left the inside open, which allowed us to sneak back up the inside. Of course, this is M1 versus M1, so the power is pretty similar. We should be able to kind of have the same kind of performance across different pieces of the track, but I guess it just comes down to a little bit of rider comfort and the lines. Because it's the end of the race now, then Fabio Di Giannantonio has managed to hold on in front of Alex Marquez. He comes up towards the line to win the sprint race here in Goiânia, the first ever Brazilian GP sprint. And here we come at the last corner. We're just ahead of actually now Raul Fernandez, so Fernandez appears to have got his way back past Toprak, but up towards the line. Then it's going to be a top 10 in the sprint. No points, but I think something that we could be very, very happy with. I led the race briefly. We had some good battles with the top riders. I think we gained more from that than we would have done by just gaining a couple of points and riding around in 9th place on our own. But of course, as I said, Fabio Di Giannantonio wins the sprint race ahead of Alex Marquez in 2nd, Jorge Martin in 3rd place, Pedro Acosta 4th, and Marc Marquez rounds out the top 5. Bezzecchi, though, all the way down in 6th place, so the championship leader not having the best sprint race. So again, it kind of does mirror real life in a way that he's struggling a little bit. Not sure what happened to Quartararo in that one, but we were also top Yamaha, so another point in our column, and really, really good for our team because, of course, it's only our 2nd Grand Prix. Jake Dixon, you can see there, down in 20th position, but again, another scalp for him. He beats Alex Rins, Agora, Luca Marini, and Moreira. Obviously, Rins is the main one to focus on there on the factory Yamaha, but even still, a pretty good result for Jake overall as well. On to the main event then, the Grand Prix, and finally, as you can see, we have got some dry weather, although at this point, going to be a little bit out of tune with this track in the dry. I only did the practice running, and then everything else has been in pretty heavy rain so far. I'm hoping that the practice pace will carry over. Of course, we were pretty quick in the dry there, although the wet weather pace was also pretty good in the sprint race as well. If we can get off to a similar kind of start, though, that does set us up quite nicely for a good result. But as you can see, on the top left, we've got cloudy to thunderstorm. So it actually looks like 2 Grand Prix in a row, we are potentially going to get a flag to flag. I don't know what it is about this career mode. Like I said earlier, it seems pretty cursed. It just seems like there's constant wet weather races. Like I said in the last episode, I'd never had a flag to flag in a career mode before that one. And it could be that we have 2 in a row here, which is interesting. Obviously could happen, but they are fairly rare in MotoGP. Either way, though, for now, it is dry, and that's what we've got to focus on. Can we try and get as good a start as last time? I'm really not thinking so. I think it maybe was a little bit just to do with the drive that we got, putting the rear wheel down to the ground in the wet conditions, but we'll still give it a try anyway. So the lights are on then, waiting for the lights to go here for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Lights out, and away we go. And this time, it certainly isn't as good a start. We've already been passed by Marini. The 2 Tech 3s go through there. Both track houses. Zarco, Morbidelli. We've got Moreira. Jake Dixon's coming through as well down towards turn 1. So we've gone from 10th to 21st as we tip it into the first corner. The 2 Pramac bikes come up the inside of us through turn 1 as well. And Alex Rins. So we're down to last position after literally 1 corner. So the polar opposite. We've been first and we've been last coming out of turn 1 so far this weekend, which really, really does show you kind of how your fortunes could change in MotoGP. Jarre Mir, though, hits the back of Jake Dixon. We're looking at the inside of quite a few riders there. We passed Toprak, we passed Rins, we passed Dixon, and of course Mir on the outside, and Moreira as well. So back up into 19th place. So not a bad turn 3 there, although Moreira comes back up the inside. We have to pick the bike up a little bit more. We're hung out to dry a little bit on the outside here. I don't think we're going to be able to go around the outside. Doesn't seem that way at all. So Moreira for now just holding on ahead of us, but at least we're back up into P20. We're ahead of most of the Yamahas, just not Fabio Quartararo. And to be fair, I think that's to be expected. He is a top class rider. But up the inside goes Toprak once again. So we've battled Toprak quite a bit this weekend so far. Rins comes through as well. And now Jarre Mir gives us a bit of a barge out of the way where he passed us, of course, in the sprint race. So back down to 23rd place. The biker racing bikes, the Petronas Yamahas, are back towards the back of the field, well, back at the back of the field, back in 23rd and 24th position. So not exactly the way that we want to go. But of course, we are a new team, so these things are going to happen. But a terrible start for me on that first lap. There's not really much excuse for it other than the fact we got a terrible start. And then, to be honest, we just got a bit beat up. And here comes Jake Dixon on the straight. So even though we've got the same bike, he goes flying past us. But on the brakes, it's turn 1. We have a look up the inside, though. Dixon goes pretty wide there, tries to go around the outside. But all of a sudden, he picks the bike up. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if he lost the front. Not sure what happened, but he picked the bike up pretty aggressively, ran completely off the track. And that moves us back up into 23rd position. Cut it a few laps later now, though, onto lap 4, and as you can see, the rain is now falling. We've been gapped even further, though, by the looks of it, by Joan Mir. But yeah, as predicted, that rain is coming down, so it does look like we're going to get another flag to flag. Once again, as well, the spray did start before the raindrops, which I always do find quite amusing. But you can see here, we've got quite a bit of spray, even though the track actually doesn't look too wet. But you can see it is definitely coming down, and surely it can't be long before we will need a bike change. Cutting a little bit further, though, towards the front, we've got Jack Miller going into turn 1 here. He's ahead of Toprak. He makes a mistake. The same thing, actually, I think that happened to Jake Dixon. He loses the front, runs a little bit wide, and all of a sudden now he's right in front of us, cutting back to our POV. We have got the run on Jack Miller. We go to the inside, we go past Jack, and we put ourselves up into 22nd positions. We finally picked up a position, and as you can see, we have closed quite a bit up onto the guys in front, and the rain is still coming down, but grip is still pretty good. So far, we've not had to pit at all. You can see cutting to the end of that lap, we're all still hanging out. There's still no white flag. So even though, again, the rain is getting heavier and heavier and the tyres are getting colder and colder, you can see that front tyre is super cold. The grip is still pretty good. So we are doing quite well as we hit the brakes for turn 1 once again. Mir gaining on us quite a bit on the front straight. And Alex Rins now loses the front through turn 1. So it seems to be some sort of Yamaha issue there through that corner. That's now 3 of the riders that I've seen do that. Miller, Rins and Jake Dixon. Cutting now, though, onto lap number 9. You can see there is a yellow flag, so someone in front of us has gone down, and it's Alex Marquez there. So Alex was having a really good weekend up to this point, but unfortunately his good weekend ends there, and once again he makes a mistake in some treacherous conditions. Cutting back, though, to the front of the grid here now on lap number 10. Dijan Antonio still leading then, ahead of Brad Binder in second position. So Binder's come alive in this championship, absolutely. Compared to what he's doing in real life, he has been phenomenal so far. But Digi goes a bit defensive there through there, and Brad Binder barges his way through, a proper barge as well, really rams him out the way. So Brad Binder now takes the lead here then at the Brazilian GP. Marc Marquez is right up behind him though, so I'm sure he'll be looking to try and get a way through. But what an aggressive pass by Brad Binder. A bit of a mistake there from Digi, but Digi's perfect run comes to then someone actually puts a proper hard pass on him and passes him for more than one corner though. Cutting back to us, we have now got the white flag. So that rain has finally come down hard enough, and we're right on the back of Joan Mir now. So do we try and make that pit stop? There isn't many laps to go. You can see we're about to be 4 laps to go as we cross the line there, and it's been raining pretty heavily the whole race, and the grip has been pretty damn good. And you can see even now, look how wet the track is, look how much spray, that we should be on wet tyres 100%, but everyone's still carrying lean. We're all on these slick tyres, so be interesting to see here at this point as we get towards the pit lane if any AI do in fact go into the pits. We get a track limits 1 in there on the exit of that corner, but there's a massive crash in front. Diogo Moreira's down. I think Toprak Raskottioglu there is down. Oh, and Mir as well. Mir's been wiped out, but I think that's Moreira's bike re-entering the track. So Moreira's bike takes out Joan Mir. That's 3 riders disappearing from in front of us. And if we have a look at a bit of a replay here from the helicopter shot, you can see Moreira actually was looking to go into the pits. He hits the brakes. Toprak completely unsighted, hits the back of him, and then his bike, just cuts across the corner and takes out poor Joan Mir. So his luck is no better in this career mode than it is in real life. You can see there, Moreira really shouldn't be braking on the line like that. Should have been pulling off out the way, but Toprak equally just kind of plowed into the back of him and just did not pay enough attention. And like I said, of course, Joan Mir, really, the innocent party, is lucky to not get taken out by Toprak's bike there, but yeah, taken out by Moreira's bike, and that is going to be a DNF for the Honda man. Cutting back to the front though, as I said, Marc Marquez was looking all over the back of Brad Binder, and now it looks like he might be trying to shape up some sort of a move as Brad goes a little bit wide through turn 1, although he does just manage to hold it. Marquez going to the outside though through the right-hander, and he sweeps around the outside. What a move from Marc Marquez. Marc Marquez takes the lead here then on lap 12. A fantastic move around the outside. Obviously, that Ducati power has been super fast so far this season. We've seen it blast past a few different bikes, but round the outside into that right-hander really does go to show that he's got that bike singing now in the main race, despite a little bit of a weaker sprint. In front of us then, Iagora goes into the pit, so another rider to take the flag-to-flag change, and that now does put us up into the points places. We're up into our now 13th place as Bagnaia is also in the pit, so we've moved up a few spots then. We're now on 3 points. Cut it a couple of laps later, though, we are on Jake Dixon watch, and Dixon, I can tell you at this point, has been into the pits onto the wet tyres, and it looks like there's not much grip out there. A really strange crash. The rear comes round on him, and that was Jake out of the race. So all these guys here stayed on the slick tyres, and you can absolutely see why. As we see Marc Marquez making a mistake. Binder again doing his bash pass move that he did earlier to Dijan Antonio. So Binder really up for the fight here. He really is, like I said, on it, and really did a lot better than he is in real life at the moment. Takes the lead back then of the Brazilian Grand Prix and is still holding it for now as we start the penultimate lap of the race. Marc Marquez, though, once again in the slipstream. Again, that Ducati power just is absolutely unbelievable. They go elbow to elbow. They're bagging bars down that main straight. And Marc Marquez takes the lead then into turn 1, starting this penultimate lap of the race. But Brad Binder is not done for yet. He's looking to get back up the inside, though Marquez gets the power down beautifully and just went to stay ahead of him. We've seen this pass a couple of times here where someone goes defensive and it doesn't work out for the other rider. But this time, it didn't work out for the rider on the outside. Marco Bezzecchi comes up the inside. He passes Brad Binder, a really aggressive move. But Bezzecchi, despite having a pretty weak sprint, seems up for it once again in the main race and cutting onto the final lap here. You can see he's right on the back of Marc Marquez. Almost hits him as we go through turn 1. But that Aprilia turns. He's trying to turn up the inside of Marc. He's not able to do it. But is he going to be able to replicate the move that Marc did to Binder a few laps ago? He is indeed. Round the outside he goes to take the lead then here on the final lap. So Bezzecchi, once again, coming good in the main races. Is he going to be able to make it 2 victories from 2 so far in this career mode? Cutting to the final corner now, it does look like that way. It looks like Marco Bezzecchi is going to bring home another victory here, taking it on the last lap from Marc Marquez. That is going to sting the world champion. But Bezzecchi then, he is here, he's here, he means business, and he wins in an almighty scrap with Marc Marquez at the end. What's the line for us though, we are going to finish in P12, which to be honest is a pretty good result considering where we were at the end of the first corner. Last position. Obviously a very, very strange one there. We kind of picked up a few spots from incidents, a few spots from people pitting. It was not a straightforward race, shall we say. Obviously we had the flag to flag where we were faster in the rain, but this time it was faster to actually stay out on the dry tyres. And if I scroll down, you can see how many DNFs there are. Obviously, like I said, Dixon retired, Miller retired, Zarco retired, Bastianini, Mir, Moreira, Alex Marquez. Obviously, Alex Marquez crashed before the flag to flag, Mir and Moreira in, of course, that horrible, horrible collision with Toprak. Toprak, though, does seem to have actually managed to finish the race behind us. Quartararo looks like he made a flag to flag pit stop, didn't work out for him there in 14th place. So actually, we have ended up as the top Yamaha once again in the main race as well. Looking at the World Championship standings there, Marco Bezzecchi leads now 12 points ahead of Marc in second. Fermin Aldeguer 22 points back in third position. We now move down to 16th place in the championship because Vinales got a pretty good result, although we're all tied there for 13th place on 9 points. And you can see there Jake Dixon down in 22nd, yet to score. But yeah, it's really, really close. Obviously, we're so early in the season, and with the sprint races and the main races, you get kind of different points distribution. But yeah, a few of us tied on 9 points there for 13th of the championship. So a good result could move us up quite a few in the next one. But moving on to the Teams Championship though, you can see Aprilia Racing continue to lead now ahead of Red Bull KTM Factory Racing in second place. Ducati Lenovo moved down into third place. We unfortunately get jumped by Tech 3, but we are still in front of Pramac. So again, benchmark, same bike, only 3 points off the factory team as well. I think so far we can be very, very proud of our efforts in these opening rounds as a brand new team. Constructors Championship pretty much looking as you'd expect. Ducati still just leading ahead of Aprilia there in second place. KTM move ahead of Honda into third place as a courtesy of Brad Binder's fantastic result there in the main race. And we still stay at the bottom in fifth, obviously struggling quite a bit. We are the manufacturer really that is quite far off the back of the rest of them. But that pretty much does bring this episode to a close. So hopefully you guys did enjoy that one. Like I said at the start of the video, I really appreciate the feedback on the previous episode. You guys seem to really enjoy it. So hopefully you will enjoy this one as well. Obviously, as I kind of get used to making this format of video and get the recordings, hopefully we should be able to get them a bit more frequently than weekly. Although, as you guys know, weekly videos for me even is quite good. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get them out maybe every few days rather than every week. But we will see how that one progresses. If you are new to the channel though, please do like the video and subscribe. It really helps me out, and of course it is a win-win for both of us as you get some more MotoGP game content in your subscription feed. But I hope you do enjoy the rest of your day, and I shall see you in the next one.